Sounds good.
Okay, we are live. Hello, everybody. Once again for
Hello.
me, Sham's first time saying hello today on the show. I guess you were a big part of the chat on the last show.
Oh yeah, I always make sure to be there live um uh, for the patron cast.
Yeah, it's so cool that you're always around hanging out, correcting us. I guess on Patreon cast there's not as much to correct. Like we can correct Brian's like tipping etiquette, but it's not the same as like for the mega show. But yeah, we got a nice little show run here for this short shift, so we'll see how much we can get through.
Oh yeah, it's I always think it's like, oh, we're only talking about 2 days. Like we had a show on Tuesday, and it's just like then I blink. I'm like, how are we gonna fit all this in?
Yeah. And then I'm always like nervous because I'm like, wow, how am I going to come up with enough for 2 hours on the Sunday show? And then it's always fine. But I also just copy short shift stuff sometimes because like obviously like I'll talk about John Carlson being back also on Sunday and we'll have more data.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, that's the joy is we get to kind of guess off of, or at least give the short term update, and then you guys can give the longer thought.
Yeah, exactly. Like this is nice to just sort of like we don't have to like dive deep and come up with like a really big analysis. It's more like we're sharing the news, giving some quick takes. All right, so with that, I guess let's do this. I'll just get started. We got Patty and Andrea in the chat, so definitely quorum. We're good to go. What's up, champs? Welcome to another edition of Short Shifts, the Keeping Carlson presented amuse-bouche between the mega shows every Sunday. I am Elan Dubrovsky, not usually here, but Jeremy and Lewis both had other engagements, but I do have one of the great Short Shifts hosts with me. Shams Benamor is back again. Shams, how's it going?
It's going good. I'm dancing and being paranoid at the same time. I'm currently leading in my 2 semifinals that I'm in. So I don't want to say anything until Saturday happens because you always have all those games, but crossing the fingers.
Okay, yeah, good luck. Yeah, I'm actually in a matchup in our keeper league against Jeremy, who beat you in the last matchup. Sorry to rub it in, but we're in a really close one now. I'm up by like 17 now, but he's got like a lot of guys playing today. I just feel like his whole team is Matthew Tkachuk. Like I know he has other players, but I just feel like he's got to have at least like 25% of his points from Matthew Tkachuk over these 2 weeks.
Well, you don't forget Vince Dunn because I was the person that dropped him. So every time he gets a point, especially when he was against me, because it was like a 3 or 4 game period where he was doing nothing. And I thought, oh, it's just a defender that finished his hot streak. Time to try the next one. Your guys were talking about when to drop. I'm team churn. That's where it burnt me.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't work out. But one guy that I added that I thought was going to help me a lot in this matchup was Rasmus Sandin. And he has been pretty good up until today as I transition to our first topic for short shifts, because John Carlson is back for the Sharks after missing all that time after being hit in the head with the puck. That very scary injury. But clearly the time off didn't change him. If anything, it just helped him rejuvenate him and got him ready, because he came in for this game today against the Chicago Blackhawks. I should probably mention we're recording this Thursday night around 10:40 p.m. So we got a lot of the results ready for you to share. And yeah, John Carlson got in on a couple of those goals. He scored one and he had an assist both on the power play. The power play where Rasmus Sandin had been there and doing very well, but he was not there. And Rasmus, for his part, was on power play too, but got like a quarter of the PP time that Carlson did. And Sandin had no points, only one shot, like only one block. Just so sad. I think, are we at a point, like, is one game sample versus Chicago enough to be like, all right, thanks for everything. See you, Rasmus. No point holding on to this guy.
I'm on that mode. Like the only reason I would keep him is if you have like limited moves at the end of the week and you're thinking about other things. But if you have a move free, you don't have time to wait and see. Like we already know why you like Sandin. It was because of power play 1. He lost it. So find someone else.
Yeah, like it's not like he'll get no points moving forward. Like I don't want someone to see he gets an assist on Saturday and be like, oh, you guys blew it. Like he'll probably do it like maybe like Orlov was doing on Washington. You know, like he'll get maybe like a 30 35 to 40 point pace potentially. So if that's worth it to you, then fine. But like, yeah, he's not going to be this like high end 60 point defenseman if he's not on the top power play. And Washington, as far as their schedule goes, they play Saturday against Pittsburgh on like a super crazy Saturday where like every team plays except for two of them. So you might not even be able to fit him in. And then next week, he doesn't play all the way until Wednesday. So there's really not a point to hold him, I don't think. I think you let him go. And if you have John Carlson, obviously you're very happy. Hopefully you got him in for today. So yeah, that's that piece of news. I guess we could roll. Oh yeah. So I'll say. And speaking of the Capitals, I wanted to quickly bring up one guy, Evgeny Kuznetsov, super cold over on Washington. And today they scored 6 goals. You'd imagine it must have been a smorgasbord for Kuznetsov, but no, only a single assist, which is better than Sandin. But he also was on that second power play. So Kuznetsov like started the season a little bit disappointing, then was really heating up, and it seemed like, okay, maybe he will be worthwhile after all. But now again on a cold streak, he was playing on a line today with Craig Smith and Anthony Mantha. So nowhere near Ovechkin. It's Dylan Strome, who you guys talked about on Tuesday. Like Strome was in the sweet spot, and Kuznetsov 1 point now in his last 4 games. So this assist broke a pointless streak, and he had a big long pointless streak before, like a goal against Buffalo like 2 weeks ago. So are we in the same boat with Kuznetsov as we are within Sandin? Like you probably can't fit him in on Saturday. No games until the following Wednesday. Why hold this guy?
Oh yeah, and to add some context, Mantha has been randomly healthy scratched to just show how much they're thinking about him. They're putting Kuznetsov with him. I'm with you. Like Sandin has more value than him at least, because with defenders you can the value of a random points here and there, but with Kuznetsov, just find the next guy.
Yeah. So it's that time of season, right? You can't be holding on to someone who's slumping and not in a good spot. We got a bunch of goalie news next. Lots of injuries and oucheries. As far as oucheries go, Elvis Merzlikins is back from Latvia. So Tarasov was sent down. Columbus plays tomorrow. I'd imagine Elvis will play. They also play Saturday. So maybe they get Hutchinson in, or maybe Elvis has had enough of a break that he can just take both games of the back-to-back. I don't know. Well, hard to say what they'll do. Like none of these games matter anyways for Columbus. What do you think? Are you jumping on Elvis now that he's back, or is he like either way, he's still like a scary hold? Like Columbus lets in a lot of goals.
Yeah, it's one of those situations. If you are just want to hold your nose and just go for straight volume, so I have a feeling that Elvis at least has a better pedigree where versus Tarasov, you won't be doing that random like 2-1 or 1-1 with Hutchinson. That he should be in a position to probably, obviously with the back-to-back, it might be different, but for going forward, should be having the majority of the starts. And if that's a value, I'd go for that. But just understand that any night you could get destroyed.
Yeah, it's a bit scary. It's too bad. I really thought going into the season that this could be a good year for Merzlikins, and it definitely has not been. Over in Detroit, Ville Husso, we found out was injured. He's a lower body injury, not available for the game today. I'm seeing this tweet from Anzar Khan over on our game day tweet site. I just filtered on Husso. Super easy to get the latest news here. Said also he's not available for Saturday. So either Hellberg or Nedeljkovic will start on Saturday as well. So this is kind of like a Columbus situation where there are some goalies likely available to you. The question is, do you take a risk? Like today, Detroit lost 4-3 to St. Louis. Hellberg started the game, led in 3 goals on 13 shots, got pulled. Nedeljkovic came in, led in 1 goal on 9 shots. So I don't know. Who's going to get this. Probably Nedeljkovic gets the start on Saturday, I'd imagine. But like, again, like it seems like Detroit is not a team you want to be streaming goalies from unless you're really desperate.
Yeah, and this is the worst situation. Yeah, because it would be a one-off. Because unless Ned gets in there for Saturday and then like goes off, I feel like this is just kind of like the Elvis situation, but you're not anywhere close to having a comfort of volume. So I would be hesitant, and especially on a Saturday, unless you're in the deepest of leagues. Hopefully, you have another streaming option.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe one option is over on Las Vegas. Because they have Logan Thompson back, who was a great start. At one point, it looked like he could potentially even be a Calder candidate with his start. Then Aiden Hill started to eat into him, but then it all didn't matter because Thompson ended up getting hurt and he missed a ton of time until today. We had news for a while that like both Thompson and Brossois were skating. You guys talked about it on short shifts before, but it officially happened. And yeah, so Thompson is in and he's playing actually right now against the Calgary Flames. Vegas is winning 2-1 at the end of the second. And I'm seeing here Thompson has stopped 25 of 26. So yeah, no rust on him. Like who knows if he'll like completely fall apart in the third, but I have a feeling against Calgary, he'll be fine. So That leaves him as, I'd imagine, the starter over Jonathan. Like, Jonathan Quick hasn't been that good. He had a couple good games. I feel like it seems like Thompson could come back to be the starter, and Vegas is a playoff team, so they need to figure out what they're going to do. Do you see this as like a 50-50 thing with Quick until Brossoit comes back, or do you think we've got Thompson as the volume guy moving forward?
I feel like this is one of those ones where you just wish you had a crystal ball, because like you could make the argument of like he's been out for a while, it's been a long time, he wants to get some play to get back into it, or you're like, hey, he just got hurt, we don't want to risk it. Quick, even though he wasn't perfect, played well and actually saved them in a few of those games. I've had him in the leagues, a couple of leagues, and quickly dropped them once Thompson came back, because I feel like it's a Thompson or no one else kind of situation from a fantasy perspective. And then it's more of a wait to see how much of a value Thompson will be from a volume perspective.
Yeah, exactly. I think Quick for sure loses all value, and then Thompson you think should be good, but like no guarantee because he was like kind of splitting time. So that's it for our goalie talk. We still have a bunch of hot and cold streaks. Oh no, we do have another goalie actually. I'm seeing down here. One we almost missed. Tristan Jarry is injured. So he's dealing with a lower body injury and didn't dress tonight for the Penguins. Casey DeSmith, who was like dealing with an illness, was healthy enough to play today. And let's go and see here how the Pittsburgh Penguins fared. They're still playing also. They're playing against Dallas. They're finished the second period. And Casey DeSmith actually having a good game, 24 of 25. Sorry to sound so like surprised to Casey DeSmith fans. But yeah, good for him, I guess. So I mean, this has happened before with Jarry injured and then DeSmith take over. And I remember like the last time this happened, a lot of people rushed to grab DeSmith, and then he ended up being kind of a disappointment, and maybe people regretted going for him. But if it turns out that Jarry's going to be out long term, I don't know. Pittsburgh needs to win a lot of games. Like they're going to be trying hard. At least this isn't like other years where they're just going to be resting, Crosby and Malkin. They got to fight to make the playoffs. So maybe that's a good sign that DeSmith could be worth something if Jarry's out. But again, we have to obviously follow the news to even see what's going to happen.
So the interesting thing is that the coach was asked about a timetable, and his only response was not yet. So at the very least, we know that it's not like a nick or a bruise, a small thing that has the potential of being something. We'll have to wait to see what it actually is, but not the greatest thing you want to hear from a coach when you're asking about an injury.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so that's, I think, all of the goalie news we had. So maybe that's a good time to take a quick break, and then we'll get to a bunch of skaters who are both hot, cold, injured, outured. We got a lot, so we'll see how much we get to, like I said, but we'll be back soon. You're listening to Short Shifts. All right. What's going on here in the chat? Patty dropped Elvis because there's no way he's in condition and they can't stop goals from it. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I would. It's like Buffalo, like how you guys talked about Buffalo. And it's like, I'm just not going to add a Buffalo goalie. And
I 100% would understand a person that would not want to touch Elvis. It's like one of those situations where, like the random leagues you're in where like the third string person is taken and you just need anybody. That's the situation I'm considering it. But like, if you're in a Cats league, you don't want to like blow up your goals against for sure. That kind of stuff. 100% understand staying away.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's get back into this here. I'll start with I'll just go down the list now. I guess I could start. Whatever. Who cares with the order?
Honestly, just jump around. I'll click a card and say something.
All right. What's going on with Hronek here? Do we have any? It's only one period so far. And no points. Okay, I'll wait a little while. Well, no, there's not going to be time. It's only there'll probably be intermission. So you might as well just mention it now. Okay, I'll start with Hronek. All right. Welcome back to Short Shifts Shams. We still have a lot to get to in terms of injuries and outjuries. Here's a guy making his debut. He got traded at the trade deadline to the Vancouver Canucks, but Philly Hronek is finally healthy and playing today in the game against the San Jose Sharks. We're done one period. Man, I thought that recording this late, we'll have like all the games done for the most part. All the players we're talking about are playing in these late games, unfortunately. But it's 3-1 for Vancouver, and Hronek so far, no points on any of those goals. But he's had some secondary power play time. I'm looking at the time on ice. Fourth in time on ice among defensemen behind Hughes, Ethan Bear. I mean, you can't read it, so just one period anyways. But Hughes, Ethan Bear, and Tyler Myers have a little bit more. Well, Hughes has the most because he's also getting the power play time. Quinn Hughes, by the way, is having an incredible season. I feel like we don't talk about him enough, but he's not available to anyone in any leagues. But Philly Hronek might be. I'm seeing he's +1. He was on the ice for a goal. So maybe he could have had something. 2 hits. Anyways, I'm curious, like people were really talking about how like I saw the trade and Vancouver gave up a lot to get him. And I was thinking like man, it seems like kind of an overpay for Filip Hronek. He's always just been kind of a meh guy in my mind, but then there's some advanced stats. I know he's actually like a really good defenseman. Maybe this is like, anyway, is he good for fantasy? Like, is this someone that you're looking to add, or is like, whatever, secondary defenseman on the Canucks? Like, at least on Detroit, he was getting top power play sometimes.
Yeah, it's really, the story is that we're praising Quinn Hughes, and that's to the detriment of Hronek because there's zero chance that he's going to get to the top power play. So really what it's going to be is that one of the nice things he had been doing with Detroit was that he would have a lot of banger stats and then have the chance for random points because he was on the power play or just because he was on the ice all the time. So even if his team wasn't scoring, if he's logging 20 plus minutes, maybe a random pass of his ends up becoming a goal. So I feel like that's kind of the situation. It might be seeing how he's deployed and whatnot to see if he's getting those banger stats. And then if you can live with that, with the potential of like tripping into points, that would be a kind of thing. But I feel like with Quinn Hughes, and if you're looking for offensive output, I would be looking elsewhere.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. In this game, by the way, 3-1, like I said, the Canucks over the Sharks. On the Sharks end, not a great start for James Reimer. 3 goals against on 8 shots. I wonder if he even comes back for the second. And I am seeing a new name here on the score sheet. Tomas Hertl scored the lone goal for San Jose, assisted by Erik Karlsson. That's a very common name to see on the score sheet. And Jacob Peterson, who I know kind of well because I had him in my Dynasty League for a couple seasons as a guy on Dallas who would play every once in a while. And we once interviewed the Dallas beat writer, I think it was Saad Youssef, and he was saying how he thought Jacob Peterson looked really good in his rookie season with Dallas. But I guess they didn't end up agreeing with him for the sophomore because he didn't make the team. He eventually got traded at the deadline. And now Jacob Peterson is getting in on a goal, by Hertl, which must mean he's on a good line. So let me just bring up, frozen tools here. And no, actually, I'm seeing that generally in the game, it's been Jacob Peterson, Fabian Zetterlund, and Nico Sturm on a line. And Hertl's been playing with LeBanc and Gregor. So I guess I don't really know what happened here. If I obviously we're not going to be interested in Jacob Peterson if he's not like at least on the top line. So he's probably a nobody, but an interesting thing that could have been noteworthy if he actually was playing with Hertl, but I guess he's not.
One of those line changes or probably something like that where he did a dump in, and then someone got it and he left it at the end. I'm not sure if it was a secondary assist, but either way, hey.
Welcome to San Jose.
Points are points.
Yeah. Welcome back to the league, Jacob Peterson. Okay, so next up, let's do another injury here over in Montreal. Josh Anderson is hurt. You guys talked about Kirby Dach on the last episode and how he just returned, which was like fun for Montreal, maybe getting some pieces back. Obviously getting Cole Caulfield back would be the best, but he's not going to be back this season. But Kirby Dach has had a really nice return because you talked about his first game. Then today in the game versus Boston, 1 goal and 1 assist. That's now 2 goals and an assist for Dach in his 2 games today. Yeah. So like I said, the pair there plus 3 shots, 3 hits, like a very nice outing for anyone who's jumped on Kirby Dach since his return. Dach has been playing on a line with Drouin and Gurianov today. So not even playing with Suzuki. Suzuki was playing with Hoffman and Raphael Harvey-Pinard. And then unfortunately, Josh Anderson got hurt in the last game. He took a rough fall. And we haven't had really an update on when he'll be back. So I know you mentioned, I think on the last show, that Josh Anderson is someone that you've been holding. Are you disappointed?
And actually, we do have breaking news. Is about like 30 minutes ago, out for the season with a high ankle sprain. So those lines that you just said, I would guess stay. And then something to keep in mind as well is that while Dach was demoted to the second line, he's still on power play 1 with Suzuki. So even though I'm not sure how happy you are with a Montreal power play, but honestly, being around Suzuki, I'll take any minute I can get.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess Suzuki actually is on a hot streak now. Like, all I know is he didn't help me in my run for the cupful to try to like make the playoffs. He had a really long cold stretch, but yeah, I guess maybe it benefits him that Kirby Dach is back because he's had now 3 multi-point games in a row. So good for Nick Suzuki, good for Kirby Dach. And yeah, there's like Gurianov is having a bit of a resurgence here over on Montreal. So there are going to be some points. Yeah, 3 points in 3 games now for Gurianov currently. He also had a 4-game point streak. So yeah, he's actually got 7 points in his last 8 games, Gurianov. And so, yeah, playing with Dach obviously is going to be good. So, yeah, it might be some fun offense coming for the rest of the season. So keep your eye on these Habs. But yeah,
because one thing, at least with Montreal, is what I'm noticing the last few games is they might not be winning, but it's not one of those situations where it's like 8-0 or something. They are getting hammered because like they can't stop anything, but they are still getting points. So in fantasy, hopefully you're not in a league with plus minus that Anderson was going off. You're just talking about these other guys going off. Hey, doesn't have to be a good team. As long as they get random points, that's all you care for. So if everyone else is looking the other way, you might have some gold that's hiding in here to be your streamers or your deep ads in your certain leagues where you don't have the premium pickups.
Yeah, and if your league counts hits, Doc, like we said, had some hits today. So yeah, I think he's definitely the main guy, like outside of Suzuki, that you'd want to jump on if he's out there. So over in Nashville, I don't recall now, like Roman Josi, I think was hurt on Tuesday. Did you guys end up covering him? I don't think you did. I guess he's just day to day, so we don't know, but he's been day to day now, like all week, which is kind of annoying because I have him in my finals matchup of my Dynasty League, and it's like he has a $9 million salary, and which I don't mind. I'm happy to pay it to get Roman Josi's production. But now that he's hurt, it's like if I add someone, I can't just drop it. It's a cap league, right? So, so even someone on a 1-year contract, if I want to drop them, I'll have to take the cap repayment penalty or whatever it is. And like, I don't have that much space left. So like if Josi, I'm saying, I want to know, is he going to be back for my matchup or not? But in the meantime, Tyson Barrie takes over on the top power play. And he hasn't really been doing too much. He did get an assist today, actually, even strength on a Kiefer Sherwood goal in this 2-1 shootout win over Seattle. Barrie is someone was asking me about him on our Discord and being like, should I jump on Barrie? He's been kind of cold. And I just figured like, hey, as long as Yosi's out and he's on the top power play, I guess I'm interested. He does have 3 points in his last 4 games, Barrie, none on the power play, which maybe makes you think he could do well. Like, I don't know, like, is that so exciting? But I feel like if he's out there in free agency, why not grab him if you have space while he's manning the top power play on Nashville? Though, to be fair, the people on this top power play with him are Duchesne, Cody Glass, Tommy Novak, and Luke Evangelista. So not like a star-studded group, though Tommy Novak is maybe a star that we just didn't realize.
Yeah, it might not be the biggest thing that I'm saying, but like, while I'm not the biggest fan of Barrie, I would take him over, say, like a Sandine, because there's at least a road for him to get something. Mm-hmm. And especially right now, is the dance is that he is day to day, according to the coach. But we all knew how close Forsberg was. And right now, just to kind of add, since we're talking about injuries, Forsberg went from basically imminent, I forget the exact wording they said, to progress has stagnated in recovery from upper body return or body injury, no firm return. So like, I don't want to scare people, but when they say day to day, we'll just have to wait until we actually see him on the ice. So maybe Barrie might get some extra time here, but either way, you're saying that he was getting 5v5 points. So if you have these just random stragglers and he's sitting around and you have a pick or ad to use, I'd be worth picking him up. Like it's your third or fourth. Like don't be riding him as your leadoff, but could do worse.
Yeah, and he's getting like pretty good minutes over on Nashville, like at even strength, which he didn't really get on Edmonton. So I think there's definitely value here. He was cold for a while, but yeah, I think he's a pretty nice choice for you while we wait for Josi. But like, yeah, he might just actually be day to day. Like it's not as if like every injury with Nashville has been sketchy, but yeah, this Forsberg one, like probably they did expect that he'll come back, and like too bad for him. Like I'd imagine he's out for the season at this point, but I guess we'll wait and see. Next up, do we have any more injuries or outjuries here? Oh yeah, John Klingberg. So what's going on with him? He just like recently got announced. Let me check out our one second, I'll do it at a point. Got recently
nothing as of now. Unless there's something like after the game, but I didn't see anything.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Strong. Okay, so I'll actually just go back from next injury I wanted to bring up is over in Minnesota. John Klingberg is injured. We don't really have much of an update yet, but the latest was just he has an upper body injury, will not play tonight for the Wild. That was tweeted from like the Minnesota Wild like official account. So in the meantime, don't worry, we don't have to like talk about Kalen Addison again, who like one day I'm sure he'll be like valuable in fantasy. Like I know prospect people like him, but at least for today, it was our good old friend Jared Spurgeon back manning the top power play. The guy who I thought going into the season would just do it like he always did, but I guess like quickly Addison took the job. Anyway, Minnesota lost 5-4 to Philly, and actually no points for Spurgeon. So if he's out there in free agency, it's kind of like a Tyson Barrie situation. Like if he's in a good spot, you might as well grab him. We don't know yet how serious things are for Klingberg. I feel like the real story in Minnesota, so I could just get you to comment on two things, is the emergence of Matt Boldy has been insane. I guess we've covered that. Another 2 goals today. He's just on this like scorching run. We're definitely getting to a point where I think like you just want anyone playing with anyone playing with Boldy because of how well he's playing. And right now that's Joel Eriksson Ek, who you probably can't get, and Marcus Johansson, who's available in a lot of leagues. And another point today for Johansson. So he's also on a run with Boldy being so hot. So I think we're getting to a point now where if you can fit him in, I'm pretty confident that Marcus Johansson is going to get you an assist pretty much any game that he's playing with Boldy.
Yeah, honestly, like I am very surprised with how Boldy is playing because I thought it was going to be one of those situations when Kaprizov got hurt that it was just going to be everyone knows diving because they just depended on him so much. I'm surprised they were able to change their offense, and I guess Boldy is now that trigger man. So obviously not to the extent of Kaprizov, but the same idea, the way that they're shaping their offense. You want the people with Kaprizov, you want to a lesser extent people with Boldy. So go ahead and honestly, I'll have to see if I'm in still playing next week. I might have to keep an eye on Johansson. I'm not sure how their schedule is next week, but hey, points are points.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because before it was like you want the people with Kaprizov, and those aren't the same people that are now with Boldy. So it's like Matt Zuccarello all of a sudden only 1 point in his last 4 games. Ryan Hartman was doing okay, but yeah, now it's like Eriksson Ek and Johansson are the 2 you want. Marcus Johansson, by the way, not on the top. Oh, wait. So it looks like in this game, at some point, Johansson ended up bumping Ryan Hartman for top power play. So just another reason to be into Marcus Johansson, depending on how things will go in the next game. Here, I'll give you the schedule. Next week, Minnesota plays Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. So only 3 games, but 2 off days for you. So that's a good like start of the week ad. And then you could always drop them after the Wednesday game. So yeah, I think that is a good tip there to go and get anyone playing with Matt Boldy, who is just on fire. You said not as good as Kaprizov, but honestly, like lately, it's like looking just as good. I don't know if he'd be able to maintain it as long as Kaprizov clearly can, but maybe, I don't know. Like Boldy's not a nobody, right? He's like a high pedigree prospect. Any more injuries? Let's go next to Tyler Seguin, an ouchery. So Seguin is back for Dallas. And you wrote in the note here, do we care? Yeah, I guess maybe not. Like he's playing with Max Domi and Ty Dellandrea today. This game against Pittsburgh, which is still going. So far, no points for Seguin. He has 3 shots. I don't really care. Like he's not really that exciting this season. He's on around a 52-point pace. He'll probably continue around that. So like, what is that, a point at, I don't know, like 2 points every 4 games, like maybe a little more, 3 points every 5 games, let's put it. Maybe for Tyler Seguin. So if that's worth something to you, then maybe. But yeah, he's definitely not the guy he used to be.
Oh, yeah, I'm in the same boat. So it's one of those situations. It's something to keep an eye on. Maybe in your deeper leagues, take a look. But yeah, it's people were talking about Domi a few weeks ago when he was going off, and they're together. So maybe a look, but I'm with you. It's probably better spots elsewhere.
Okay. So I brought up how Jacob Peterson got a point on San Jose, and I was curious to see his lines. The same thing happened because I saw that Tyler Bertuzzi is having a good game for Boston in this win over Montreal. Bertuzzi ended the game with a goal and an assist, and one of his points was an assist on a David Pastrnak goal. So just like I just did it with Jacob Peterson, I went to go quickly look at the Boston lines. I'm like, wait a minute, is Bertuzzi playing with Pastrnak? That would be something. But I'm looking, and again, it was like Bertuzzi's been playing most of the game with Charlie Coyle and Trent Frederick, and Pastrnak was playing with Zacha and Krejci as he usually does. So I guess this was another throwaway thing. So probably don't get too excited over Tyler Bertuzzi, even though he did have a big game today. He's still like a 3rd line PP2 guy.
Oh yeah, it's funny of just like we're talking about how Bertuzzi was a potential just because of line 1 power play 1 in Detroit, and now he's line 3 and maybe power play 2 just to show how deep Boston is.
Yeah. Over in St. Louis, I'll just bring up, now I'm just gonna do some quick hits here of just players that are interesting. So we talked about the Detroit side and how Hellberg got pulled. On the other side, Joel Hofer got another game and another win. Not as great of a result, like stats wise, led in 3 goals on 28 shots. It was a sub 900 save percentage, but whatever. Pulled it off. It was actually 2 early goals in the game. Detroit scored like 38 seconds in, Edvinson, and then Wallman. So 2 defenseman goals, and then Wallman's goal was like 1:28. So I guess Hofer just like maybe needed to be more focused after the national anthem. I don't know what it was, but after that, he settled in and looks like he had a really good game.
And I'm pretty sure if I read it correctly when I looked at the tweet that Binnington didn't even dress. It was Grice as the backup. So that might be another hint that potentially we're seeing Mar Hofer going forward.
Well, yeah, actually, nice thing to consider, which I should have done today. Actually, I was considering it, then I wimped out at the last one. I have one move left in my matchup against Jeremy, and I was thinking like maybe I should drop Sandine to pick up Hofer today, because I'm thinking like St. Louis plays today and then they play Saturday, Sunday, and I have already my goalie spots filled on Saturday, but I had an open goalie spot today, and then I'd imagine with the back-to-back, finally Hofer will probably rest on Saturday, I'd imagine, and then maybe he goes back in on Sunday. So it could have been good to maybe get a Thursday, Sunday, and Sandine is. I just thought like maybe I'll hold on and give him one more game, even though Carlson's back. Like, clearly, I should have just made that swap. But yeah, Hofer, we'll see. Like, I think he'll get one more game this week, and then if he does well, probably going into next week, if you're still alive in your league, it's looking like a potential like good goalie on a good team. Yeah, which St. Louis like was a seller, but they're still actually a pretty good team lately. I could just.
Oh yeah, it's especially with like Verona coming in and like Buchnevich somehow becoming a good center now. Like a lot of things are just kind of lined up, and your favorite player, Sammy Blay, doing things like weird. It's just needed people to give up on them for them to start doing things. I'm not sure where they stand from a playoff position, but hey, as long as they score goals and don't let too many in for if you're a Hofer fan, then good enough for me.
Yeah, one person though who is not scoring goals lately and is starting to upset people is Kyle Connor over on Winnipeg. Not only is he not scoring goals, he's not getting assists. He's not doing anything. He's pointless now in 7. I guess Winnipeg is currently playing against Anaheim. We're 2 periods in. The goal for Winnipeg was Mason Appleton from Dylan DeMello and Adam Lowry. So a schmoll there while Kyle Connor continues to do nothing. How like are you at a point where you would even consider dropping Kyle Connor, or is it just like, nah, he's too good? Like you just have to kind of hope that things will bounce back. Like, what's going on here?
Well, one funny thing is if you're a fan of Frozen Tools, and if you're not, you should be. I was just bringing up the team just to see the points, and I think there's literally maybe 1 or 2 players that don't have the ice for the on a cold streak symbol on them. This whole team is just ultra cold. They went on a streak to make people think they were going to the playoffs, and now they're just kind of going into dumpster hell. They're tied with Anaheim of all teams right now that like basically giveaways points. So I'm not sure how I would feel. Like it's one of those things where I don't have them in any league. So my brain's like, oh, I'll just churn. But like you'd have to have some guts to see hit that minus and actually drop. I feel like really what it would be for me is how the rest of your team is looking from a schedule perspective. Maybe you have a worse player, but you could fit them in for more games. And then if you have someone of value that you can potentially pick up, say if there's like a Hofer and you think he's going to take over the net, you need a goalie, like it has to be a value pickup for me to cut bait.
Yeah, it just seems like it's such a crazy thing to do. But hey, we're in the playoffs, and like if he's cold and if the team is cold, then yeah, maybe at some point you have to give up. But you just know that if you drop Kyle Connor, then he's going to like score 3 goals in the next game. So buyer beware, or a seller beware, or like I don't know, what would you call it? Not even a seller, trash giver awayer beware. Another cold streak, which has been going on for a while now, but I'm just sort of starting to realize it is Nazem Kadri over on Calgary. Kadri is now pointless in 6 games, currently playing this game against Vegas, which is still going. So we'll see if he can get something. Kadri's deployment has been like brutal. He's playing on the 3rd line with Nick Ritchie and Dylan Dubé. He's also been bumped from the top power play. He is on a power play with Huberdeau. But yeah, it's like the top power play right now in Calgary is Backlund, Toffoli, Lindholm, Mangiapane, and Rasmus Andersson. And then I guess the secondary guys, the 2 guys they spent big money on this summer, Kadri and Huberdeau, don't even crack the top power play. So this has not gone well so far. And is Kadri someone that you consider dropping moving forward with how cold he's been? Or is it like Kyle Connor, where you're just kind of nervous to actually pull the trigger?
I'm in a different boat. I would be 100% fine dropping Kadri. For me, the 2 players I love are, well, maybe strong for Lindholm, but like I love Toffoli just because he shoots so much. So even if he doesn't score, it's going to get you something. And then you got those other players of like Backlund and like Mangiapane that do a lot of other things. So if you have like maybe not in a points only league, but they do shots and whatnot as well. So, and then Coleman is there, but like those 3 would be on a different tier versus Lindholm and Lindholm and Toffoli. All the rest, depends on your league settings and whatnot. To fully give me every second with him. Kadri, head out.
Okay. Shams gave the signal, by the way, for the people not watching live here, that get out of here. All right. So let's go to Philly now. I want to just talk about a couple hot streaks here. Philly's in one of those situations where they're giving some young players a shot. And one guy that's really stepped up since joining the team is Tyson Forrester, 21 years old, was a 23rd overall pick in 2020, getting his first run in the NHL. And now after today's game against Minnesota where he scored, that brings him up to 6 points in his last 4 games. So I guess a little bit of a light entrance. First 3 games for Forrester, didn't get any points, but since then he's been doing great. He's on the top power play on Philly. He's been playing on a line with Morgan Frost and Brandon Lemieux, which you may think it on the top on a line with Morgan Frost and Brendan Lemieux, which you may think isn't great, but actually Lemieux and Frost have been doing pretty good also. And like I said, with the power play also, I think Tyson Forrester is going to get a lot of run. Probably Tortorella likes him. So yeah, he's definitely a name I would take a look at if you're, looking for some value guys in free agency that maybe a lot of people really have never heard of.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's points. They're coming. Might as well ride it, but have an understanding that it may dry up the second you pick them up. But hey, people are enjoying the streaks from Chicago with your radishes and whatnot, and before there. So these don't have to be premium teams to get you the points. And we have 4 games where he's showing off that he can do it. So there's a potential to keep on going. And hey, that pickup could be what you need to make the leap into the finals or win it. So got to take some risks, and this shows enough sign that he could potentially hit.
Yeah, I mean, this happens sometimes, like a first round pick that finally gets in near the end of the season, like Boldy last year. I guess he had a lot more of a run. He didn't come in in March, but yeah, maybe he's something, and he's playing really hard because he's playing to make the team next year basically already. So yeah, Forrester could be something. I like that he's already getting top power play. Where else can we go here? I guess I'll do one more. Dawson Mercer has been on the top power play in New Jersey lately, ahead of Jesper Bratt. I feel like I come on every once in a while with a sky is falling about Jesper Bratt. Oh, he's not in the top 6. Oh, he's not on the top power play. He always seems to be fine, but yeah, we saw some practice lines today. This hasn't even happened in the game yet, but some practice lines came out today with Mercer there on the top power play. I'd imagine we're not going to be nervous about Bratt and scare people, but at least makes Mercer interesting if he's available in free agency, which would be pretty crazy with the run he was on. I feel he's probably rostered also in a lot of leagues.
Yeah, I think it's, I looked at this as more as a fan of Mercer and the interesting thing is that I'm not sure if a coach said this, but I saw this from multiple beat writers. It seems like it's a handedness thing where they want to have Mercer there because of how he shoots. But also, someone was mentioning is that they like to have, since Hughes carries the puck well and Bratt does as well, to kind of have those 2 skills spread out between the 2. So this might be one of those, hey, he might be a better player than Bratt, or Bratt may be a better player than Mercer, but just because of just how all the rest of the setups work on both power plays, that he just unfortunately gets to the second one. But either, as we know, every time, as you're saying, we get scared, but he keeps on scoring points. But yeah, this is just one of those situations where you're joking about Mercer. I have him in a league, and for the start of the week, I kid you not, I get that Yahoo notification for 2 or 3 days straight. Pile of people dropping Mercer, and I'm I don't know why, but here's another side. If you're in one of those leagues that someone dropped them, scoop them up.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to have a guy on the top power play with Hughes, Mercer, Hischier, Meyer, and Dougie Hamilton. That's a pretty good trio to play with. Yeah, I guess it's pretty wild. Mercer was scorching, the hottest guy in the league, and now only 1 point in his last 6 games. So this might just be also something that will help wake him up a little bit. So I'd be interested to give him a shot now, especially because he plays Friday, Saturdays. He can get 2 games. You're probably full on Saturday, but at least get that Friday game, and then you can reassess. All right, Shams, I guess we've done a long shift, I guess I always tend to do here, but it wasn't my fault. I feel like we went pretty quick. We just had a lot to talk about, but this has been a blast. Thanks for joining me, and thanks for all the great shows you've done. It's wild to think you just started doing this a month, 2 months ago. You're already a vet here. on short shifts. So yeah, great job. And thanks everyone for listening. Hope you've been enjoying the content this season. Of course, you got to be subscribed to Keeping Carlson because you're going to get more short shift shows next week. But in the meantime, you'll get a matchup maximizer where I'll be talking about next week's schedule on Saturday night to release like early Sunday morning. And then of course, Brian and I will have the mega show on Sunday. So subscribe to get all of that. But I guess let's cue this outro music. Shams, any final thoughts before I say the catchphrase and get us out of here?
You're still in your playoffs. Best of luck to all of you.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're not, then I don't know. Actually, I didn't have anything to say. If you're not, just relax and enjoy watching other people suffer and struggle. Maybe you could, if you're in a keeper league, you have the opportunity to still pick up some good drop that someone needs to make because they're desperate. Maybe someone's going to be who's someone like Kyle Connor. If someone drops Kyle Connor because they're nervous, grab him for your keeper league. I don't know if that's going to be an option to you. But yeah, thanks again. And until next time, make sure to play smart and keep those shifts short. Cool. Great job. That was fun. Thanks, Patty and Andrea, for joining us. And whoever else was here that was quiet in the chat.
Thank you for double shifting.
Yeah, man. Now I have to release 2 shows. But so yeah, just shoot me the. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. So let's say goodbye to everyone. Bye.